Welcome students. I hope you are all keeping well at home and staying safe at home. So let's continue with the chapter 1. What is psychology? So in the previous video you learned about the various definitions of psychologists and the scientific definition of psychology too, understanding mind, behavior, mental processes and experience. So today we will be continuing with psychology as a discipline, understanding mind and behavior, and finally evolution of psychology. So let's start. Psychology, though it is a very old knowledge discipline, what kind of science is psychology still remains a matter of debate. Psychology is generally categorized as social science, but it should not come to you as a surprise that not only in other countries but also in India, it is also a subject of study, offering faculty of science both at undergraduate and postgraduate levels. Many students go on to earn a BSc or MSc degree in universities. In fact, the two of the most sought after emerging disciplines which continuously borrow from psychology are neuroscience and computer science. So psychology as a discipline today has two parallel streams which makes use of the one which makes use of the method in physical and biological sciences, and the other which make use of the method of social and cultural science in studying various psychological and social phenomena. So psychology can be viewed as a branch of science because psychologists adopt the scientific method in the efforts to study human behavior. So the values or the standard which are central to the scientific methods include accuracy, objectivity, skepticism, and open-mindedness. Now we will try to understand these terms in detail. Accuracy means a commitment to gathering and evaluating information about the world in as careful, precise, and error-free manner as possible. Objectivity means a commitment to obtaining and evaluating such information in a manner as free from bias as humanly possible. Next, skepticism, a commitment to accepting findings as accurate only after they have been verified over and over again, preferably by many different scientists. Open-mindedness, a commitment to changing one's views, even views that are strongly held in the face of evidence that these views are inaccurate. So, psychology as a field is deeply committed to these values. It is primarily for this reason that it can be described as a branch of science. In other words, because psychology play by the rules, accept and follow the guidelines of the scientific methods, it qualifies for membership in the broad family of sciences that together have greatly enhanced human life. Next standard is hypothetical deductive model. This model says that scientific advancement can take place if you have a theory to explain a phenomenon. For example, in physics, they have a Big Bang theory to explain a particular phenomena, how the universe developed. So in the same way, in psychology, we follow the scientific methods and it proceeds by formulating a hypothesis, that is by formulating a tentative solution to a problem, to a question, then that answers are tested and proved true or false based on empirical data. Empirical data means that can be gathered by observation or by using some psychological procedures. So theory is revised, then a particular theory is framed and theory is revised if data gathered point in a different direction than the one suggested by the hypothesis. In the middle of 20th century, a major shift took place. It became increasingly evident that there were aspects of psychology like language, social interaction, human experiences that psychology not attend or psychology by using some scientific methods could not be able to attend and the mainstream scientific psychology is being criticized on many grounds. So the realizations that human are cultural being, and so a new that have led to the adoption of new methods and conceptual methods in psychology. So, in that respect, the socio-cultural context is significant in shaping psychological functioning and discipline. Psychology studies the behavior of human beings in their socio-cultural context. So humans are not only influenced by their society, by their culture, but also they also create them. So psychology as a social science discipline focuses on humans as social beings. So the psychology is a social science which focuses on the individuals and communities in relation to their socio-cultural and physical environment. Next is understanding mind and behavior, a topic which is very interesting. Now we have already understood the relationship between the mind and the brain. Now here, when we know neuroscientists who have done a lot of research to prove this fact that even brain structure is damaged, mind still continues to function. So here one example which is given in your book is a, person whose lobe is damaged. Occipital lobe, the structure of the brain dealing with vision. So even then the person respond to visual cues. So the brain structure damaged, but the mind continues to work. So another example which is normally given is a study done by Ornish, who talked about patient when they were given given this technique of creative visualization, which is that you imagine the scenario. The patient were asked to imagine that their blocked arteries were opening up, and it actually happened of that their arteries which were blocked did open up. So that was the power of mind. So this field also deals with eradication of fears that we have also handled in the same manner. So this branch of psychology is known as psychoneuroimmunology. Psycho deals with mind, neuro deals with brain processes, and immunology deals with immune system. So this is what you have in your mind reflects through your bodily processes. Indeed, psychology is relevant to everybody's life. The knowledge generated in psychology is closely related to common sense, but it will be wrong to say that it is only common sense. As you will find in the subsequent chapters, many of the concepts and theories of psychology do challenge common sense beliefs. So common sense is information gathered from everyday knowledge, and science is thorough research on a particular subject with concluded facts. So it will wrong to say that knowledge generated in psychology is common sense. Common sense often leads us in a different direction or in a wrong path. So many of the concepts and theories of psychology do challenge common sense beliefs. Now, what is the difference between common sense notion and the scientific psychology notion? It is based on scientific psychology is based on scientific study of psychological phenomena. That is, it is based on that means the conclusion is valid, but here in common sense it uses common sense knowledge to understand behavior. It explains psychological phenomenon systematically on the basis of empirical data. It explains the phenomenon on the basis of experience, just sayings or beliefs. So it studies the pattern of behavior that can be predicted before they occur, or it the next it explains events in hindsight after they occur. Evolution of psychology. It may be noted that psychology was not always defined in the way it is presented today. During the field's formative years, in fact, there were stormy battles over what psychologists should study and how this endeavor should proceed. Since these debates shaped psychology as we know it today, it is worth taking a brief look at them. So, the parents of psychology are, or we can say that the psychology originated from the field philosophy and physiology. By 1879, William Wundt had founded the first formal lab for research in psychology at the University of Leipzig. So, because of this and other contributions, Wundt is often described as the founder of experimental psychology. Early battle overs what psychology should study began with the school of thought structuralism. Wilhelm Wundt was the founder of structuralism and was a powerful personality. So he did not simply found the first lab in psychology, he also argued forcefully for his view of what the new field should study. So briefly, he proposed that psychology should study on analyzing the contents of the consciousness in order to determine its basic elements and the relationship between them, a view known as structuralism. Uh, This task, he argued, could be carried out by the method introspection, a method in which individuals report in detail on their conscious experience in response to specific stimuli, for example, sounds, optical illusion, and other visual stimuli that are presented to them under carefully controlled conditions. So if you have a trouble understanding this definition of psychology by structuralism, so don't get alarmed, don't be alarmed. Neither the topic studied by the by the structuralist nor the methods they employed have survived. Next school of thought was functionalism. Structuralism focused on identifying the elements of structure of consciousness was soon challenged by the functionalist William James and other psychologists who felt that their new field should focus not on the structure of consciousness but on its function. So, with this thought in mind, James and other functionalists focused on understanding the functions of consciousness. Although functionalism itself gradually faded away, so both structuralism and functionalism were soon consigned to the dustbin of history by another approach, behaviorism. Behaviorism burst upon the field in 1930 by a brilliant young psychologist, John B. Watson. So Watson argued passionately for the view that psychology should focus not on consciousness or experience but on behavior, action that can be observed and measured. So many psychologists had already begun to lose interest in studying consciousness and in using introspection as a research method. So uh, Watson's views quickly won general acceptance. So, indeed, the idea that psychology should focus only on observable behavior dominated the field for several decades. So, moreover, it was emphasized still further by B.F. Skinner, perhaps the most famous behaviorist of all. He argued that because internal mental states cannot be studied scientifically, they should not be part of psychology. So rather the field should focus only on overt responses to various stimuli. Although behaviorism dominated psychology for decades, it never had things all its own way. Um, Psychologists were listening with growing interest to the theories of physiologist named Sigmund Freud, who argued strongly for the role of unconscious and other internal processes in human behavior and mental disorders. So another challenge to behaviorism occurred in 1950s When humanistic psychologists argued that, contrary to what behaviorists propose, people really do have free will and they do not simply repeat behaviors that yield positive outcomes while avoiding behaviors that produce negative ones. So, a basic principle of behavior that we will examine in later chapters. Moreover, people are strongly motivated by future plans and goals and by the desire for personal growth. The ultimate challenge to behaviorism, however, came from what psychologists often describe as a cognitive revolution, a renewal of interest in all aspects of cognition. So, this revolution, uh, as psychologists quietly went about studying memory, reasoning, problem solving, and other cognitive processes. So, according to what is cognition? Cognition is to knowing the things, to understanding the things, to learning, remembering, memorizing. So, all come under cognition. So, cognitive psychologists compared it with the computer, as they say that the computer inputs the data, processes the data, and then gives output. In the same way, human mind also takes input from the senses and processes the data. That is, cognitive processes goes on, and then it gives the result, that is output. So, in short, modern psychology truly is the science of behavior and cognitive processes. It studies all aspects of human behavior, everything we think, feel, experience, or do, and is no longer restrained by the boundaries imposed on it by the various schools.